Welcome to Veterans United, a program hosted and sponsored by the Fire Watch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. In this program, we focus on leaders across the community who are doing wonderful things for our veterans, as well as veterans who are doing great things within our community. In the first program, 5-Minute Salute, hosted by Dan Bean, we'll look at those leaders who are doing wonderful things for veterans across Northeast Florida. In the second program, From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, hosted by me, we'll talk with veterans who have had very successful transitions from military active duty life to either being business owners or executives within a business. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 5-Minute Salute. And with us today is Jake Ammon from Addison Commercial Real Estate. Jake, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Outstanding. What do you do for Addison Real Estate, commercial real estate?
I'm vice president. I cover leasing, sales, and then I assist with the property management here with Addison Commercial.
And that keeps you pretty busy, I imagine, right?
Yes, and despite what you might see in the news with commercial real estate, very active right now. Even during COVID, we were busy both on the property management side because there's lease still happen, but even from a leasing standpoint, businesses still need to relocate. They needed to get out of bad situations. A few needed to grow, and a couple needed to contract. So. Helped out how we could. It was definitely some unique challenges that came along, but we stayed busy during COVID, and we're doing very well, thankfully.
Outstanding. And you're a Navy veteran, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and so tell us how'd you get in the Navy? And that's right, you still are in the Navy. You're a reservist. How did you get in the Navy?
Yes, yeah. So my original introduction to the Navy was the Sea Cadets. So back in high school, I was actually involved in the Sea Cadets. And then I opted to go to VMI, Virginia Military Institute for ROTC. And I did my 4 years there. And then I selected as SWO. And so my first duty station was actually here in Mayport, Florida. So I was on the USS McInerney and then the USS Samuel B. Roberts. So I did a good 4.5 years sea duty. And the Navy sent me out to New Mexico to help out the Air Force, is the best way to put that. So that was a real fascinating job. Got to help some special forces, kind of the communication side of things. I got out of active duty out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I kind of learned during the process of getting out, I learned about commercial real estate, started the industry out there. And then there was an opportunity to move back to Jacksonville. We love Jacksonville. There was always just a place of our hearts from Jacksonville, even though we weren't from Jacksonville. And so we've been back about 3 years now.
So you're a surface warfare officer, correct?
Correct. And in the reserve duties, it's now at 4th Fleet here in Mayport.
And you'd agree with me that all surface warfare officers are incredibly attractive and incredibly intelligent, correct?
Correct, of course.
I mean, that's just a natural, right? It just flows. So where did you grow up?
Texas, a small town in Texas, Cameron, Texas. Love Texas. A lot of our family's still there, but it's hard to beat the qualities of Florida that we have now.
So how did you wind up in Lexington, Virginia to go to Virginia Military Institute?
There was a contact with the Sea Cadets, so they do summer trainings, and so they actually get us with actual active duty service members. And I was in Little Creek, Virginia, and one of the other the Sea Cadets, he was a midshipman, and he was at VMI. So I knew I kind of wanted the military colleges. I applied to the Naval Academy, got the nomination, didn't get accepted in. So then VMI was really the best, and I'm glad that it worked out how it did. But it was through another fellow Sea Cadet member there is how I got kind of teed up in the idea of that.
So how did and I'm a SWO obviously because I'm incredibly attractive, incredibly intelligent, just like you. But how does your surface warfare experience shape your daily work with Addison Commercial Real Estate?
It's knowing how to manage chaos. I think is the best way to describe that. Is that just you don't, and I'm attracted to uncertainty in that, you never know who's going to call You don't know what kind of deal that could come across the table. And so with it, it's the unpredictability of it. It's kind of an element that I like. And that's definitely, you got, back in the out at sea, you get used to being uncomfortable and in uncomfortable situations. So you long for that at times. So, no, I get to help a lot of great people, doing a lot of very creative, unique problem solving situations on a daily basis, and I love it.
Outstanding. And then, and you do participate with some veteran service organizations with the limited time you have. What can you tell us about Operation New Uniform?
Yeah, I came across Operation New Uniform. I was trying to find something that aligned with me well, and an effort that I feel very strongly about is helping transition out of the active duty, whether it's being retired or even at 4 years, and helping veterans transition out into the civilian life, learning how to speak civilian, and things like networking, how to do that, how to get plugged in. And they very formalized the process that they actually have classes. They'll have the groups go through, and once I am able to free up my time for my 1-year-old and my 4-year-old, and the other commitments, I'm going to be jumping in to participate and volunteering how I can. But I've tried to volunteer and sponsor when and where I can, though.
That's awesome, Jake. And you've got your hands full with your children and your Navy career as a reservist and working for Duke Addison. That's a full-time job just in and of itself.
Yeah.
So congratulations, and thank you so much for your service to our country and to your service to our community as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up another 5-minute salute. And until next time, please keep watching out for each other.
Hi, I'm Nick Howland, Executive Director of the Fire Watch, Navy veteran, and host of the new program From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, where we will be interviewing Northeast Florida veterans and learning about their journey from the military to owning and running their own companies or joining very successful Northeast Florida companies. We would love to have you on the show. Please consider joining us. Welcome to From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, a program sponsored by the Fire Watch and focused on highlighting the experiences of Northeast Florida veterans who have had successful transitions from active duty military to the civilian world. I'm your host, Nick Howland, Navy veteran and Executive Director of the Fire Watch, and with me today is Rob Bannon, who's the owner of TPG Golf Performance Center. Rob has spent 21 years in the U.S. Army as a Special Operations Aviator, and now he's on his second career teaching people how to play golf. What a great set of careers that Rob has had. Rob, welcome to From the C-Suite to the C-Suite.
Thank you, Nick. Great to be here today.
Tell us a little bit about TPG Golf Performance Center, if you would.
Sure. TPG Golf Performance Center was something that we built, to try to help players of all skill levels, get better in the game of golf. And what I've tried to do is take my experience I learned in the military, coaching and teaching and mentoring, and bring that to the golf business. And I think what we do is we provide, golf instruction, lessons, golf equipment, golf fitting, golf repair to players of all skill levels. And it's been a very exciting time for TPG Golf and our family.
So you are over at Cimarron Golf Club off 210 in St. Johns County. Do you have a relationship with Cimarron? Why did you choose there? And tell me a little bit about your staff and specifically some of the courses that you offer at TPG.
Right. Yes. I think the first thing is that you introduced me as a CEO, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that's my wife, Tracy. She is the CEO.
Oh, great.
She's my boss.
Yeah, make sure you get that squared away.
Exactly. But we have a partnership with Cimarron, and it started because I actually live in Cimarron.
Okay.
And I've been here since 2013. I started coaching and teaching at Cimarron part-time about 3 years ago. And, as the relationship grew with the ownership here, I pitched a business plan to open up a golf performance center. And, fortunate that they were receptive, and we went forward with the plan in November, to build it. And it was just a factor of trying to find somebody that would, let us, build a facility on their property. And Cimarron was generous enough to let us do that. And it's been a great partnership. Um, and, as we look back on the process, I think, part of it is that, Cimarron's a small business. We're a small business. I think it was a great fit, putting it here in St. Johns County.
Oh, that sounds great. What a great way to pursue your passion and do great things while you're at it. So speaking of an exciting career, even before TPG Golf Performance Center, you were 21 years in the U.S. Army. I mentioned it before. I screwed it up in the intro, but a special operations aviator. You flew Blackhawks and Little Birds. Tell us a little bit more about your time in the Army.
I think from my perspective, the years went by very fast, and we'll talk later about my transition, but I think it was such a rewarding career in many aspects. Number one is I had the opportunity to grow a family. I've got 4 kids and a wonderful wife, but I met so many great people along the way and served with so many talented individuals, not just in the aviation community, but everywhere else. And flying was such a passion for me, and I loved it so much. But when I got out, I still flew a little bit, but I wanted, something that mirrored, my aviation career.
Sure.
And that's kind of how golf played a part of it. And then as my son got older, he became a very good player.
Okay.
I started coaching him, and that's kind of where things started to fall into place for me to open up my own business, post-military.
Well, fantastic. I mean, you always hear people say it's not work if you love what you do, right? And you obviously loved what you did in the Army, and you love what you have done since the Army. So let's talk about that transition from the Army to your civilian career. You and I were talking earlier, and you used the post 9/11 GI Bill. Tell us a little bit about how you chose to do that, your experience, what courses you took, and how that helped you transition.
Sure. So I will start off by, talking about my transition from active duty into not just, because I worked in the government as a civil servant for a while, and I went out and worked in the industry.
Okay.
And I think just like everybody else that gets out, it is much different than you expect.
Yep.
And some of the expectations I had didn't really match up with what was going on in the jobs that I was performing. Not that they were bad jobs or bad opportunities, but I found that the military prepared me every day to accept challenges and problem solve. And I wasn't finding that in my jobs and even in industry.
Yep.
So I looked for something different. And owning my own small business was something that I always wanted to do, but I didn't have the tools to do it. So that's when I started looking at going back to school.
Fantastic.
And for me, the education piece was something that helped me bridge where I was and where I wanted to go. And once I got into college, back into school, as somebody that was in their early 50s, going to school with people that were 18 to 20, I found school to be a lot easier than it was when I went to school.
I can imagine.
Just organizing my time and making it work was much more enjoyable this time around.
Yeah, stressing out about a test.
Using the GI Bill.
Yeah, is nothing like taking a Black Hawk into battle.
Yeah, there was no stress about performance and results. It was all about trying to get as much information as I could that I could use to start my business. And so, going to Kaiser University and the School of Golf we focused strictly on becoming a golf professional, becoming a golf teacher and instructor and coach.
Yep.
So that's why I chose there, because I didn't really want all the other ancillary courses. I just wanted to be a coach. I wanted to teach people how to play golf. And I thought I knew a lot about the game until I went back to school. And then I learned, hey, I really needed this. So the GI Bill is a wonderful tool. And I just urge veterans out there, if you haven't reached out to get your benefits, and then go try somewhere. And if you don't like it, fine, go try somewhere else. But give it a shot, because it's definitely worth it.
What amazing advice. And when those veterans have their free weekends after going back to school under the post 9/11 GI Bill, and they want to go play golf, do you offer at TPG Performance Golf a veteran or active duty military discount?
Definitely, 100%. It was one of the number one priorities that we put on our list when we opened the Performance Center. which is we're going to make sure we provide opportunities for not just active duty or retirees, but all veterans that have served. And so we've got a partnership with Wounded Warrior Project. We're doing two clinics per month with them. We offer flat rate lessons, $60 per lesson, for all veterans, military, and their family members in the Performance Center. And we offer discounted rates on equipment. And we just offer a network for veterans that want to get involved in the game that don't know where to go. And it's been a very successful program, because when I asked veterans, how did you find me? I went on Google, it said you're a veteran-owned business. I wanted to give you a shot.
Yeah.
And we're certainly thrilled with the response we've gotten so far. It's really been the most rewarding part of being a small business owner, is putting that veteran-owned small business on my logo outside the building.
That's fantastic. Rob, thank you so much. How can people find you? You said Google before, but what are some other ways for people to find you at TPG Golf Performance Center?
You can go to www.tpggolf.org and check out our website, and there's a contact form there. You can call us at 904-470-0088, or you can Google best golf instructors in the Jacksonville area, and we'll be number one on your list.
Fantastic. Rob Bannon, thank you so much for being with us today, and it was thrilling learning about your experience with opening TPG Golf, and talking about your experience with the post 9/11 GI Bill. I hope there's a lot of veterans out there who could glean some important lessons from that discussion. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you having us. Play well.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, hosted by the Firewatch. The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. There is a role for everyone to play. We're asking the community to become involved in the effort to end veteran suicide. Go to thefirewatch.org, click on Watchstanders, and see what you can do. Together, we can end veteran suicide. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Captain Bean, host of the 5-Minute Salute. It's a show sponsored by the Firewatch that highlights the men and women who have bravely served our great country. Each week, I chat with them about advice they have for other veterans and how they have transitioned back into civilian life and the support systems that help them through along the way. Through initiatives just like this, the Firewatch is aiming to reduce the number of veteran suicides each year. I thank each of you for your interest in joining the show and supporting this great cause. Together, we can make a difference.
Welcome to From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, a program sponsored by the Firewatch and focused on recognizing and highlighting the experiences of veterans who have had successful transitions from the military to civilian life, either becoming business owners or executives within businesses here in Northeast Florida. I am Nick Howland, your host and also executive director of the Firewatch. I'm a Navy veteran myself, and we are thrilled today to have an awesome guest, Dinah Mason. And Dinah, thank you for being here.
Thank you it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dinah, you spent 17 and a half years in the Army, including as a drill sergeant. Then you got out and you founded your own consulting company, Dynasty Mediation and Consulting.
Yes.
Tell me about what you do with your own firm.
Well, what Dynasty's Mediation and Consulting does, we work with people who are maybe going through a divorce.
Okay.
I do mediations with divorcees, and as well as consulting with small businesses. One of the larger parts of Dynasties when it comes to consulting is strategic planning. Therefore, it led me to working with different politicians that
Fantastic.
were working in running for office. I've worked with a congressional campaign, and we won.
Okay.
And 2 years in a row we've won, and hopefully this third year we will be winning as well. I believe that, and I've also worked as a campaign manager for a city council member.
Okay.
So that's what Dynasties basically works a lot with strategic planning. I really like that part of my
So
business.
you advise families, businesses, and political campaigns.
Yes.
That's the whole gamut.
That's it. It's
Yeah.
the holistic approach of consulting
Sure.
as it relates to working in community service.
Right. Well, with 17 years in the Army and having been a drill sergeant, tell me a little bit about your Army experience and then how that experience translated into your creation of Dynasty Mediation and Consulting.
The Army was a fantastic experience for me.
Yeah.
I grew up with my grandparents,
Okay.
so discipline was already there.
Right.
And I think going into the service, it kind of heightened that discipline.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed it. It gave me an opportunity to travel. It gave me an opportunity to meet very interesting people, but it gave me the true opportunity to understand what service really meant.
For sure.
The time honored core, that
Yeah.
means a lot.
Yeah.
And you form such a great relationship with your brothers and sisters that's in the military. It's something that's different than anything that happens on in the civilian world, as
Yeah.
we call it in the military.
Yeah.
And so being in the service and doing the things that, first it was personnel, I was personnel management.
Right.
And so then I also got into logistics. But I had a craving to become a drill sergeant because I was inspired
Fantastic.
by my drill sergeant,
Yeah.
who was a woman, Sergeant Neil Polly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was awesome.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be that, because I think it was great leadership, but it's also shaping young men and women
Yeah.
into a career as far as the service goes, and to prepare them for what the Army truly is, and
Yeah.
of course to protect this country.
Right.
So being a drill sergeant, it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and it was great to see young men and women come in the service one way
Right.
and leave out the service a totally different.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
Yeah.
Especially those that didn't have a whole lot of discipline, or
Oh yeah.
was truly looking to do better for themselves.
Sure. Actually, probably a little bit like political candidates, right? I can
Yes.
see you being a drill sergeant. Fall in. Arranging
Yes.
their ground game and getting it done, and
That's
they
it.
come in undisciplined and they come out very
Well,
disciplined.
that's basically it. When
Yeah.
you're working with candidates, people who want to run for office, yes, that's very much so.
Right.
The ground game that you have to have, because
sure.
everybody sees things a little bit differently, and the candidate sees it one way,
Yep.
and as a campaign manager, you see it a totally different way, because you look at it very holistically,
Yep.
and they look at it basically, this is my theater, this is what I want, and this is how I'm gonna go after it.
Yep.
And being military, that's not how it works.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You got to have a recon.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. So basically, coming from the military and into the civilian world, as I say it, it was challenging.
Yeah.
Especially coming from so much discipline, and
Right.
and being a drill sergeant as well. The civilian world is very different.
For sure.
And my biggest challenge was the discipline
Oh yeah.
and working with civilians. And
How did you overcome that, Dinah? That's a great point, and we've talked to other veterans, and we hear that over and over again.
yeah,
Going from a very structured life
yes,
to a very unstructured civilian life, where
Yes.
you're on your own.
Yes.
The military takes your hand, it tells you where you're going to sleep, where you're going to eat, it helps you buy your car, it helps you manage your money, and then suddenly you're out on your own. So
exactly.
what were some things that helped you overcome that challenge from going from a very disciplined environment to less so?
One thing that helped me a lot with that was I end up finding myself looking back to the VA for some things that
Okay.
could help me. And because it coming out and meeting different people and just going to somewhere to get business done, just
Yeah.
doing regular, going to the maybe tax collector or whatever. People do things a different way, and you're used
Right.
to, you're not getting all that back,
Yep.
the back
Yep.
talk, the this and that.
Yep.
It's just, this is how it goes.
Yep.
So reaching out to the VA, I found a program, but they had what's called Voc Rehab, and it's
Okay.
not a physical rehabilitation program.
Yeah.
It's a career habilitation.
Vocational rehab.
Rehabilitation, right.
Got
So
it.
basically what it did, it allowed me to be in a military environment still,
Mhm.
because your classes were on the military base
Okay.
at NAS.
Okay.
And so you're still in that environment, you're still having that camaraderie,
Okay.
and at the same time, they're helping you complete your degree. So
Oh,
what it
yeah.
allowed you to do was to go in. I started with my bachelor's in psychology in
Right.
the Army. When I got out, I had only like a semester left. And so that allowed me for them to pay for it completely.
Yeah.
And they end up paying for me to get my master's degree. And so
In counseling?
in counseling,
Fantastic.
yes. And so in that, when you're in voc rehab and you're everybody you're dealing with is basically military.
Yeah, right.
So you have the camaraderie, but at the same time, it kind of eases you into what's going on in the civilian world.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
so it really did help, but it also helped me launch a great career.
Right.
And it also gave me the ability to be able to come out and start dealing in the community and seeing what was going on and doing community service.
Oh, what a fantastic resource. And I hope that people watching the show understand that that's available to all veterans.
Yes, it
and
is.
can be a tremendous help during that transition from active duty to
definitely.
civilian status.
I think it's one of the greatest programs that the VA have.
Yeah.
If it's for disabled veterans. If you are 10% disabled or
10%
more,
disabled. Yep.
then you can go in and apply for voc rehab. They give you a test. If you don't want to go to college, it helps you with a trade.
Oh, yeah.
So I just think that it's a great program, and it's wonderful. And I would hope every veteran that has a disability or has a time struggling in coming out of the service, that they can go and reach out to the VA to get that information so they can get on that road. It would be awesome.
Dinah, awesome. Thanks for telling us about voc rehab, and thanks for telling us about Dynasty Mediation and Consulting. If people want to find out how to reach you there, how can they?
They can reach me by calling 904-635-9559. They can also go to Dynasties Counseling, www.dynastiescounseling.com, and they can fill out a form. I'll reach out to them and help them in every way I can.
Awesome. Dinah Mason, owner and founder of Dynasty Mediation and Consulting, and former drill sergeant, Army veteran. Dinah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching another episode of From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, sponsored by the Firewatch. The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide, and there's a role for everybody. Go to thefirewatch.org, click on Watchstanders, and learn how you can help. Together, we will end veteran suicide. Thank you. Thank you for watching Veterans United. At the Firewatch, we have one mission, and that's to end veteran suicide. You can help. Please visit us at thefirewatch.org and enroll as a Watchstander. By doing so, you'll learn the risk signs of a veteran in crisis, you'll learn how to ask a veteran if he or she needs help, and you'll learn where to direct that veteran for resources. Together, we can end veteran suicide. Again, thanks for joining us on Veterans United, and be sure to tune in next week. That'll get me smiling or turning away. No eye contact with the camera.